Christi Grab is on the show again. I love Christi. I love her heart. I love her passion. I love her sense of justice. And she doesn't quit. She's amazing. She doesn't quit. And what I really appreciate about her is she knows her lane. This is my lane. This is what I've discovered. This is what I'm going to do. And CharLee, thank you for having me on the show so I can tell everybody else about it. I don't see her on anybody else's shows. I don't know why. She's extraordinary. And if you haven't seen her before on the show, you're in for a real treat today because she is going after some very lawless politicians in her home state of California. And as California goes, so goes the rest of the nation. So no matter where you're watching, just remember that. And we need people like Christi. You need people like Christi where you are. Courageous is contagious. So let's get to it. Speaking of contagious, by the way, and being courageous, I love my president. Look what he's doing now. Look what he's doing now. Trump sues this court of NBC News. NBC covered this story by Joe Kopke. Trump sues the IRS and Treasury Department for $10 billion over leaked tax records. There he is. I love my president. I just am so completely happy that he's running the show now. President Donald Trump is suing the Internal Revenue Service and Treasury Department for $10 billion. And yes, when he wins, because it is very dirty what they did, when he wins, that will be coming out of our tax dollars to pay him that $10 billion. I don't have a problem with that. I want him to win. Because I want these people to realize, these deep state pieces of crap, these Obama and Biden people who have been put in place in tremendous positions of power in unelected positions. I want them learning a lesson that, nope, not everybody's just going to roll right over. Not everybody is afraid of the IRS and will take whatever punishment they decide to dole out. So he's suing the IRS and the Treasury Department $10 billion, alleging they failed to prevent a former IRS employee from improperly disclosing his tax returns and those of his sons and his company to news outlets. Go get him, President Trump. Go get him. Christi Grab, let's get her in the mix. Get her take on all this on Do Not Talk. Are you ready? Hit it.
Yeah! Woo!
Hello, my friend. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for the lovely intro. You are so nice to me. I really appreciate all the accolades. It's very kind and so good for my ego.
I hope you don't think that it is disingenuous in any way. I am completely honest and forthright when I say I admire people like you, and we need more people like you. I love what you have done. You have found something that's very wrong with our state government, and that is the fact that, and there's a reason why these politicians are no longer taking their oath of office. You have to swear an oath, just like military, law enforcement. We all have to swear the oath of office, and so do politicians, that same oath. But they're not swearing their oath when they're required to, and there's a reason for that, as I have found out, and thanks to you, I did more investigating too. Once they are caught, and as the word tells us, what is done in darkness will be exposed by the light. Once they are caught in their graft, their corruption, their fraud, their theft, once they are caught, if they have sworn an oath of office, now it becomes they're under the UCMJ, Universal Code of Military Justice. The UCMJ, that's why they're not taking that oath of office, because if and when they get caught, they are held to a higher standard and a greater punishment. That's why they're not doing this.
You know what? I have wondered that for a long time now. Like, I have read something that kind of indicated that, but I wasn't 100% sure that was accurate information. So it's good to know that it is.
That's according to what I found out. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Well, I mean, you
So the military could get involved. They've sworn the oath of office,
that's
same one that we in the military had to swear out. What's
that's
going on now? Are we ready to take down these unlawful politicians? What's happening?
okay. So after the last episode, my homework. Oh, sorry. In the last episode, we talked about how I had pulled O's on certain legislators that were serving on certain committees that I believe were behaving unethically. And I found quite a few state senators that didn't have O's. And you asked me if there were enough people without O's to void was it
All
AB
these horrible laws
or
they passed, especially during the COVID shutdown.
well, you asked
If there
about
was not a
one.
quorum, if there's not enough who are actually serving as they're required to serve and have not taken their oath of office, that means technically they're really not holding that office, are they?
Right, they're foreign agents fraudulently posing as a government employee, and that is, I believe, a military court thing,
Because of
not
that
a
oath.
civil, not
Yeah,
not a criminal court thing.
right.
But anyway, so you had asked me specifically to look up if a particular law could be avoided. The one where can just steal children out of schools with
Yep.
no proof of anything. So I looked it up, and 10 votes needed to be voided in order to void that legislation. And 9 of the 10 I had proof could be voided because they hadn't taken oaths of office or filed them with the Secretary of State at least. And so I pulled O's on all the rest of the state senators in the hopes that one of them wouldn't have an oath and we could void that law. Well, it turns out most of the ones that I pulled didn't have O's. There's 28 state senators that don't have O's out of 40. So that means nothing that passed last year is legal because there was never a quorum. There weren't enough senators with an oath for a quorum. So nothing at all. Everything needs to be voided.
How do we do that?
I don't know. I'm still working on that. Currently,
Dang it!
so
We catch them, but then we don't know what to do to prosecute.
So currently I'm working on a project where I'm contacting the state controller, Malia Cohen, to ask her to stop paying all these people that are working without O's.
Stop paying them.
And to claw back the funds. There's a specific statute
Make
in
them
the
repay
law
it. Just like
that
if you
says
get
that
overpaid with unemployment or anything else, you have to pay it back.
all benefits, everything needs to be clawed back because there's a statute that specifically says if you don't have an oath on file and you're elected, you cannot get paid. So I am working on that now. I'm hoping to get it finished tomorrow and then mailed off on Friday. That's my hope, but I'm getting there. I'm making good progress on it. It's been on my to-do list for like 7 months, so I'm a little embarrassed it's taken me so long to get to it, but I've been busy. So
I know life gets in the way.
yeah, and so once I get that mailed off, I will work on figuring out a strategy on getting all these laws avoided. So we'll have to circle back to that. I can only do one thing at a time. I need to finish this one before I can move on to the next one. Otherwise I would get nothing done ever.
You have got to be on several lists. You've got to be greatly hated. Pray for Christi's safety. Pray for the safety of her husband. Pray for the safety of her family. Pray for the safety of her friends, those around her, because you have got to be on a list.
Yeah, I'm certain about it. I mean, the Franchise Tax Board and the Attorney General have already retaliated against me before. In my court case against the Franchise Tax Board, in the closing, the judge basically threatened me and said that I was putting my family in danger. Or like if I were to file an appeal, I'd be putting my family in danger. And I think he was threatening me because he actually liked me and was worried about me. I think that was the reason why he made that threat, was like he wanted me to know I was putting myself and my family in danger by pursuing this. But I have made the decision that I'm not going to live in fear. I will not do it. So I am going to stand up to evil. That God has called us to put on the armor of God and fight evil, and that's what I'm doing.
Ephesians 5:11 is what powers this show. You know that. Be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's what you're doing. I know you got a list of things to cover, so let's get to it. I'm ready.
Okay. So let's start with the most disturbing thing that I found. So the Franchise Tax Board, we talked about this before. They are paying NGOs between $10 and $20 million a year to hunt down illegal aliens and sign them up for tax ID numbers. Once they're signed up for a tax ID number, the NGO also signs them up for benefits. And as part of the benefits, when you get signed up for healthcare, you automatically get a voter registration card. The voter registration card does have a tracking ID number on it, so they know if that's been returned or not. And I believe, it is my belief, I can't prove this, that what happens is somebody is tracking those voter registration cards that go out, and for everyone that isn't responded to, they respond online. They file on behalf of this person online. And online, you just click a button that says, I swear I am who I say I am. So I believe that all of these illegals are voting. But they don't know that they're voting. I don't think they are conscientiously signing up to vote. I think somebody is doing it behind the scenes, taking this list.
And then their votes are being used. Their names are being used to vote illegally.
And that's the purpose for mail-in ballots, right? And
there's proof coming out about that. As President Trump himself talked about California, he said there are truckloads. It's not an accident that he used that term, truckloads of evidence, because that's been discovered. And there were trucks, semi-trucks full of fraudulent ballots that have been found. And that's about to come out.
So over the last year and a half, I have been trying to get more information about this program to pay NGOs to hunt down illegal aliens. And the Franchise Tax Board has been very vague and evasive. Well, first of all, they ignored me altogether, but I kept pursuing it. And they did finally respond to me yesterday. That's why I scheduled the show for today, was because their response was due yesterday. And they gave a vague and evasive answer in their response. And I've also been trying to get, I did request public records from the, it's CDSS, something social services, California Department of Social Services. And they're the ones that actually administer the money. So Franchise Tax Board gives the money to CDSS, and CDSS administers the funds. So I made a public records request from CDSS, and I got all kinds of documentation on who's being paid how much money and for what.
If I may, it's my understanding that when it comes to dispersing cash, that can only go through the legislature. You're telling me the Franchise Tax Board itself is writing checks to these NGOs or these government services?
The program started in 2018. Betty Yee started it. You know my love for Betty
Yee. Yeah.
And it was codified. I have to go back and check the records, but it was either codified in 2020 or 2021. And so it was officially became part of the budget then. So there's a certain amount of money that is designated by the legislators in the budget for this program.
Okay. So they told them.
I don't know how they funded it before it was codified. But so I got public records from CDSS, and it indicates that the biggest recipient of funds is a tax lobbyist, and their bookkeeping is very opaque. I'm pretty sure that they are just basically embezzling the money. I think they're a money launderer. Their bookkeeping records are highly questionable. Let's put it that way. There appears to be a lot of multiple billings, like they do something one time and bill it over and over and over and over again. And I've tried to contact them a bazillion times. I've never been able to get through to a person. I don't think anybody actually really works there.
Wow.
I think people just collect paychecks and
It's
and they
like
pay.
it's like a Somalian daycare,
Yes.
child daycare. There's
Yeah.
nobody actually there.
Yeah.
The checks keep flowing, but nothing's being done with it other than
I
who
mean,
knows where it goes.
yeah. So, well, it's some of the money's going to tax lobbying. So that is documented, the tax lobbying. So they are
To
getting money.
to what end, by the way? Lobbying for what? For more taxes? Lobbying for
They're
what?
getting money to lobby for more money for this program that they're getting money from.
This is awful.
So I've been trying, and so the second biggest recipient of funds is United Way, and then there's quite a few others. So I've been contacting all these NGOs that are getting money, and I've been trying to get more information about the requirements to sign people up for tax ID numbers. What I want to know is the franchise tax board issuing its own tax ID numbers, or are they signing these people up for federal tax ID numbers? And so I have gone round and round and round with franchise tax board asking this question in different ways. And they are the masters of deceptive and evasive. So I found that if you ask a question one way, they'll give you a deceptive and evasive response. And then if you re-ask it and pin them on that, pin them on the deception and evasiveness, they'll respond again deceptively and evasively. But eventually, if you go enough times, they are forced into a corner and have to give you an answer. And so the answer is yes, they are issuing their own tax ID numbers separate from the federal government. And they said that was required by Senate Bill 25. Well, I checked their website for Senate Bill 25, and there's nothing on there that's relevant. So I looked up SB 25, and it just passed. Like January 22nd, it just passed, and it hasn't been signed into law yet. So the next thing I need to find out is how long they've been issuing these tax ID numbers. But I asked AI some questions, and according to AI,
so they went ahead and proceeded because it's what they wanted, even though it has not been signed into law.
Well,
it's now their policy.
So I asked AI for more information, and AI pointed me to some other laws that were passed in 2020. And so it looks like there were temporary laws passed that lasted from like 2020 to 2025, and that they were renewed now. So they're like the same laws that have been in effect. Just those expired, and now they've renewed to make them. So
Governor Hairdo and his band of thugs and thieves are trying to make it permanent.
Yes, it is permanent in the new laws. So that was the Social Security, tax ID numbers is one of them. The other one that I found that I find deeply disturbing is that they have made it so that when an employer is employing illegal aliens, and the illegal aliens have a tax filing requirement, the employer can file a group return on behalf of their employees. And so the employer just has to say, I have X number of employees that are illegal, and they made X amount of money. And then they pay taxes on the bulk. And so the taxes that they're required to pay is the highest rate there is, which is 12.3%. They're also required to pay a 1% mental health fee, which I think only applies to salaries over $1 million. So only people who make more than $1 million have to pay that, except for illegals. And they're not allowed any credits or deductions, and they have to take a status filing single. So basically, how it looks is the state of California has basically said to employers, we are good with you exploiting these people. No problem exploiting them. We just want a share of the profits. Like, we want a cut on top. And so, I mean, I don't know how much illegals make, but I'm guessing they make well below the average salary for Americans, right? Especially, and so that means they're paying triple the taxes they should be to the state of California. So basically, the state of California hasn't made itself a sanctuary city to protect these illegals. They've made themselves a sanctuary city in order to exploit them, right? Like, and they're getting a cut off the top of everyone who's exploited. So they're getting
our dollars, our dollars.
Yeah. So they're getting money from these group tax returns, but they're also simultaneously trying to get NGOs to get people to sign up for these individual tax ID numbers so that they can file individually instead of as part of a group return. And the NGOs are specifically tasked with finding families that have at least one child 6 or under so that they can claim the Cal EITC credit elect thing. Credit elect. And with that new law where anybody can steal children out of the classroom, it is incredibly disturbing that the state of California is paying NGOs to find vulnerable people with small children who have no ability to fight back. And now this law is passed that children can just be stolen. And there's nothing you can do.
Right. Okay. And then what?
Well, I that is all new information as of yesterday. So I still haven't processed it yet to figure out what to do about it moving forward. But I will say that this is treasonous. And so there is a reason why so many there's a reason why
these are mafia tactics. We're going to take a little bit off the top and allow you to keep doing your illegal practices.
It is absolutely mafia tactics. And I believe that it's this kind of stuff that has made the legislators choose not to take oaths.
Because they would be under the Uniform Military Code of Justice. Earlier I said universal, sorry. Uniform Military Code of Justice. They would be under that if they took their oaths. So they're not taking their oaths.
Correct. That's what I believe. So in the last show, we also talked about that it was time to submit legislative requests. So this year, the legislative request that I chose to send is to repeal 4 laws that allow the Franchise Tax Board to evade the due process laws that are required under Bill of Rights Amendments 5, 6, and 7. And, you know, these laws, when they were passed, were treasonous. They are a direct violation of our constitutional rights. And so I asked the legislators to repeal them on the basis that they are unconstitutional, and that if we challenge them in the Supreme Court would probably throw them out. And so basically, the Franchise Tax Board just decides that you owe money because they said so. There's no due process. They just go in and steal your money. If you don't, like they say, you need to pay X amount of dollars. And if you don't pay it, they just go in and steal it. There's no due process there.
The Franchise Tax Board is our state's version of the Internal Revenue Service. And they operate above the law. They do whatever they want. There are no repercussions. Good luck if you go against them or you dare to stand up and say this isn't right. As Christi has been, they will target you. They will go after you, as we're seeing what they did with President Trump. But he's turning around and suing the crap out of them. I think that's hilarious. I can't wait until he wins. I think that's hilarious. And by the way, if you're complaining about, well, that's $10 billion and that's our money and so on and so forth, do you know how much money he has gotten back for our United States of America through the Doge process and through tariffs? And we're about to reap the rewards of all of that. I believe that's coming this year, that we're going to actually be getting checks back from the government for overpaying taxes and so on. I'm excited about what's happening and what's coming down in 2026. I know there's going to be a lot of violence in the streets because that's how the left distracts your attention away. Look what they've done with Minnesota, focusing on that creepy Renee Good and Alex Preedy. getting shot for interfering with law enforcement officers and then threatening them with weapons, whether it's your vehicle, as Pretty was carrying a gun, and all the focus has gone on that, and nobody's talking about the billions of dollars of fraud that was discovered by that simple podcaster, Nick Shirley. God bless him. I understand he's coming to California, by the way. He might be here already.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't it? That's awesome,
Yeah.
huh? I love it. He's become like the new James O'Keefe, a young James O'Keefe. He's going out and busting the bad guys, exposing them. And I love this fearless kid. Pray for him too. Pray for his safety. So, okay. What's next on your list?
This isn't one of my agenda items, but since you brought it up,
could you tilt your camera down a little bit, please, for me, by the way? There we go. Thank you.
For several years, the Franchise Tax Board has been working on an online filing system for low-income filers. And the IRS has one that they beta tested last year and the year before. And they were supposed to go live with it this year. And the Franchise Tax Board was all excited about this. And, we're going to link with the IRS so the data will carry over and it'll be super easy for low-income people to file tax returns. And then at the meeting in the spring, I guess, the Franchise Tax Board announced that Trump canceled that program for low-income people.
Because you can already file online. You got your W-2, you got your information, you put that in, and you've answered the simple questions. You can already file online. You're telling me Po folk can't figure that out?
No, you can't. No, not with the IRS. Like, you got to use TurboTax or something like that. Like, this is direct with the IRS. And
which is an app, by the way. And
there was a program for a couple years that California was one of the beta testers. So there was a program direct with the IRS, but that was a beta test. It wasn't.
Okay, my mistake then. My mistake.
Yeah. So anyway, so the franchise. So that's really interesting. Trump has alluded that he's going to increase the wage requirements, and so in order to use that IRS service, you had to make a pretty small amount of money. And I think Trump canceling it indicates that he's actually going to make good on that and raise it above the threshold to use that low income service.
So that'd be awesome. That's going to cut out a lot of middlemen. I'm not going to see those people wearing their little costumes on the street corners spinning signs about get your taxes done here as they're wearing the Statue of Liberty uniform. Going to put them out of work.
Well, there's still state taxes. The state is not going to repeal any taxes. That's for sure.
No.
So let's see. Let me look at the next items on the agenda. So we talked about the tax ID numbers. We talked about the disturbing laws. We talked about how NGOs are looking specifically for small children when they're hunting down migrants. We talked about the legislative request to repeal the laws that are a violation of our due process rights. All right, so let's talk about the rest of the things in the Franchise Tax Board's response. So the first thing is I had submitted a written request and I also made a speech, both. And in the written request, I had asked FTB to change all of its policies and procedures that don't follow the laws as they are written. And I said, basically, by having your employees do this, you put them in jeopardy of being federally prosecuted, and you shouldn't do this to your employees. In the speech that I made, I said to the employees, these things are unlawful. And if you continue to do them, you could be federally prosecuted. So please stop. So FTB's response to my written request was that we don't do anything unlawful, right? But my prayer is that the employees take what I said seriously and that they refuse to go along with these things anymore. So for those people who believe in the power of prayer, if you could pray that the agency is forced to make itself lawful because the employees won't go along with it, I would appreciate those prayers. I think we can, through the power of prayer, get the tax agency to correct itself.
We're to pray
Also,
against evil. We're to pray against evil. We're exposing this to you now. So take her seriously. Please include her and all of these things in your prayers to the Almighty Father, our Father in heaven. Hallowed be his name. Good. FTB, Franchise Tax Board, when they get these letters from you and so on and so forth, you can only imagine what their attitude must be. Who are
they
you?
hate me. They hate me so
I'll
I
bet.
have done so much to, they have a carefully controlled narrative, and I've done a lot to destroy their narrative. Like when they're deceptive and evasive, and I point out, oh, hey, that's deceptive and evasive. Like I want real answers. And so the focus on my written request and my speech at that December meeting was to get more information on some of their unlawful practices. One is they don't timely apply payments that are made. And they, again, this year refuse to disclose exactly when payments are applied. They basically said it doesn't matter when we apply payments because we apply them retroactively. So the money, as we found out in my court case, the money just disappears off the books. Like you make the payment and the money vanishes. And then eventually the money reappears and it's retroactively dated. But where did the money go in the interim? And that money that disappears is called a no payment. And it's a payment that they've identified as a no payment. So at this point, I am 100% certain that it is an off the books spending account because there's a lot of accounting irregularities in my court records involving those no payments. So I asked for more information off the books spending account. They were vague and evasive. I asked exactly when payments are applied because I think they delay funding payments. Like they're supposed to apply payments on certain dates, and I think they drag that out for much longer than they should. And I mean like months and years.
That's what they do. That's what the government does. They can wait you up. They don't care. They're not going anywhere. They get their nice cushy jobs.
But they do that, I think, in order to pad their off the book spending account to make it look like there's more money in there than there really is.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then another thing that they say is that California law requires the Franchise Tax Board to treat married couples as if they're single. And then that leads to a marriage. Treat married couples as if they're two single individuals until they file their tax return for that year. And they have yet to state that law. So they again double down. I said, hey, give me that law. Like telling me it's a law without giving me the statute number is a violation of Section 242, Title 18C, Title 18 USC Section 242 color of law. That's a felony. And so they did it again. They just doubled down and said it's a law, and they didn't cite the statute. So what's interesting is that in addition to my speech, I had made 2 public comments. And one of the public comments they added to the response, even though that was a separate thing and should have had a separate response. And I had basically said that they denied due process by not timely processing protests, which is like if they say you owe money, you have 60 days to respond saying, no, I don't owe money, and here's the proof why. And so in my case, they claimed that they didn't receive any of them. And then in the court documents, it came out that they had received all of them, all of them were misfiled on the wrong year. So to continually
And that's on them.
Yeah, to continually misfile means that that's how they systematically operate. If it happened once, maybe it really was a misfiling, but it happened 6 times because my husband and I each had to send in 3, so that's 6 in total. So when it happens 6 times, that's systemic, right? Like that's how they operate. So basically, they deny your due process rights by attrition, saying that you didn't respond or, they didn't get to it. And so FTB denied that in that letter. But what's more interesting is that they didn't respond at all to the second public comment that I made. And at the time that I made the public comment, they didn't even acknowledge it. I made the public comment and then they said, next caller. No acknowledgement at all, just next caller. And then there was no acknowledgement in this letter either, or any other separate letter as well. And so I basically accuse them of intentionally trying to destroy small businesses. FTB generally has a 3-hour hold time for small businesses. It is almost always above 2 hours. It's usually 3 hours. And
Wow.
It's so when they put the whole time in red, that means that the lines are busy, and so you can't necessarily get through. Like when you call, you might get a busy signal, and it's almost always in red. So you call over and over and over again and get a busy signal. When you finally get through, it's a 3-hour hold time. Then at the end of that 3-hour hold time, they hang up on 36.3% of people. That's what the disclosure. That's what the disclosure department told me.
That's what the government does, period. That's what they did with the unemployment, EDD, during the whole COVID thing. When I lost my job due to COVID cutbacks, I had to go on unemployment, and I got hung up on so many times. And I would have to call again and again and again, trying to get answers to things and get things done. And I was not getting paid, even though I'd filled out the paperwork. I'd done all the online stuff. I did everything that they told me I had to do, and then still nothing was happening.
And all these
that's what they do. They just hang up on you.
Yeah, all these people that don't actually exist are getting paid, but real people aren't. It's very suspicious, right?
That's what was happening. People in the prison had to get paid first, for heaven's sake. What was I thinking?
Right. So you can't get through to them by phone, and you also can't get through to them in writing. Their processing time for correspondence is between 4.7 and 8 months. And so most of these things have a response time of 30 to 60 days, but it takes them 4.7 to 8 months to process.
And in the meantime, if they found you in arrears, you're getting charged penalties.
Right. Penalties, interest, they go in, they seize the money, they completely destroy your business, and there is no way to resolve it. So in that public comment, I asked them what they're going to do to fix this. And so that small businesses had decent service. And like I said, they didn't acknowledge it when I said it, and they didn't acknowledge it in the letter that came yesterday.
Would somebody get the show to President Trump, please? I don't know how to get it to him, but maybe you do. Get the show to President Trump. I don't know what he can do when it comes to state stuff, but this is insane. This is criminal. What's going on?
It's criminal. And so because it's criminal, it does apply under federal law.
I would think so.
Mm-hmm. All right. The last issue on my agenda item is I mentioned that I've been trying to get information on this program to hunt down illegal aliens. And they did give me some evasive and vague responses. However, with Franchise Tax Board, it's what they don't say that you've hit upon something important. So they didn't acknowledge or address my request that they audit Golden State Opportunity Fund, which is the tax lobbyist that I've already mentioned, that has the very suspicious accounting. And they didn't acknowledge or address the fact that vulnerable people in San Diego are being sent to a known sexual predator to get their tax ID numbers. And we mentioned this. Audra Morgan, who is a journalist here in San Diego, has been covering an organization called Dreams for Change. And she has documented that there are many, many, many allegations that the staff is sexually assaulting the clients. And that's where the Franchise Tax Board was sending people, vulnerable people, to get these tax ID numbers that the Franchise Tax Board is issuing. So I just looked this morning, and they are off the website. So Dreams for Change has been removed. So that is a sign that I actually had an impact. I mean, it might be a little impact, but I had an impact, right? But
That's
they
good.
replaced them with the Smalley's Family Services.
Somali Family Services.
Yep,
Good. So they can open up more Leering centers. We need to open up more Leering centers for children.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't actually make any real forward progress because it went to an even more obvious fraud scheme.
Graft.
Yeah.
Oh, sister. Damn. Has any other media talked to you about any of this? Anybody aware of anything? I want to rally together at least the people that I know and see if we got to get more of this information out. I don't know what it'll help other than just to maybe get people woken up to the point to where they'll start standing up and saying something to their own elected representatives.
I hope so. And you know what? I'm seeing people around me who were never interested in politics before suddenly become interested. But for them, they have really believed in government. And so it's actually a painful process to come to terms with the fact that your government is not just not serving you, it's intentionally exploiting you. That is very, very emotionally difficult to process. And I remember how shocked and horrified I was. And my husband was just like, no, you're wrong. The government wouldn't do that to us. You're wrong. And I'm like, I'm telling you.
I used to be that guy, by the way. No, that's not that bad. It can't be. No. But that's what we were brought up to believe. That's what we were conditioned to believe through media and propaganda.
They were doing a good enough job of covering things up. And I think in 2016, when Trump ran, he changed the narrative. And by changing the narrative, that allowed more information to come out and like the people to notice the cracks a little bit more. And then with COVID in 2020, the cracks got bigger. So like it had been really easy to just turn a blind eye to the cracks because they were so little to you. But when the cracks got bigger and like it was a big enough crack that you could actually trip on it, all of a sudden people started paying attention. And more and more people are starting to see. So that's my belief. I have a very, the Bible says God wins, and I 100% believe that God wins. It's just a matter of getting enough people to stand up and say no to evil. And I'm very hopeful that this year that happens. If you have a moment, I want to share. So yesterday I had to run an errand, and an Amnesty International person asked me if I wanted to help fight ICE. And I turned around and I was like, no, I fully support ICE. You know why? Because the state of California is trafficking people, and I want California to stop trafficking people. And she was shocked. She had no idea that the state of California is involved in these shady activities to basically profit. Like, we're not a sanctuary city to protect people. We're a sanctuary state. We're a sanctuary state to exploit them, to make it easy for exploitation to happen here.
Think about how little they care about us by deciding. I never got to vote on it. If I wanted to be a sanctuary state, what that means is anybody who has broken the law can come here and cannot be extradited, cannot be taken out. We're like a little safe haven for lawbreakers. And that was all set up for the illegals to come in to change the voter rolls, because they're a traditionally left-leaning. They're coming from socialist countries, and they know where the freebies come from. And it's not my side of the aisle, because I'm ready to say, give this money back and get out and do it right. Come in legally. I'm sorry, it's a hard process. Try getting into anywhere else and becoming a citizen there. They have the same laws in place that the country you just came from has in place if I decided I wanted to live there. And I'm not going to turn around.
I'm pretty sure that they're not really voting. I'm pretty sure the reason why they do the mail-in ballots is because they are falsifying. They're taking these illegals' identity and saying that they're the illegal when they're not. I think there's like warehouses of people who make these, sign up illegals to vote and then do the voting on their behalf. I really think the vast majority of illegals have no idea that they vote.
Wow. Dang. Oh, we need help, because it's coming June. We're so close to the primary elections, and already Republicans suck at showing up for those. But we've got to, and numbers too big to ignore. We cannot sit this out. We got to be registered to vote, registertovote.ca.gov, registertovote.ca.gov. Get registered to vote. Vote this coming June in the primary election. Vote for a Republican for governor. Vote the entire ticket. Don't just vote one thing and then leave it, because they're stealing those votes. As Christi just alleged, I believe that is happening too. And after my talks with Dr. Douglas Frank and with Dinesh D'Souza and with Mike Lindell, damn straight that's going on.
We also need poll watchers. That's the biggie.
Mm-hmm.
Like people who are watching these fraudulent ballots that, every ballot has the same signature. And,
yeah. And you contact in your county your registrar of voters. That's how you look it up. Registrar of voters. And that's usually an elected position too, by the way. So pay attention to those races and those people who are running who want to count your votes. And she's right. Volunteer, but there's also paid positions too.
Really?
You get paid through the government. Oh yeah, they set aside money for that. You can get paid for working at the polls.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So you got to contact your registrar of voters in your county and just start asking those kind of questions. How do I volunteer? How do I help? Are there paid positions? What can I do? I want to be involved in the election, especially the primary this coming June. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. Need it. Nobody's buying my mugs on my website. Nobody's buying the cups at charleesimons.com, and nobody's buying my hat. So I need to make some extra money here. I'm sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck in California. The rest of the nation is benefiting from President Trump's turnaround of the economy, and it's happening so quickly. Even our gross domestic product numbers have jumped up to 5+, and that's extraordinary to turn around that fast. However, California is keeping inflation and prices very high through taxation, through fees, through everything else, including DMV. I tried to register my vehicle online, renew registration. They were charging a $49 fee.
To renew online?
Yes.
So I
went into a DMV, and I found one that had an actual kiosk, and I did it all on there, and I still did have to pay, because you can only use a credit card or a debit card, right? But they charge you a fee for that too. But you can't even go to the window now and renew registration. They don't allow it. You have to do it online.
AAA. Yeah, I go to AAA.
Oh, to AAA. AAA is good. That's real good. If you have
have to actually, because so my mail goes to a mailing address and not my home residence. And the DMV won't take our checks because the address, so the DMV has both our home address and our mailing address, but they won't take the checks from me because the checks have my mailing address instead of my home address. But the AAA takes those checks, and I make those checks out to the DMV, and the DMV is happy to cash them when they come from AAA, but not from the DMV office.
I bank online. I'd love to be able to just send that check right to the DMV so I can renew my registration easily every year, but they don't allow that. You cannot use online banking to pay taxes or your DMV registration fee or anything like that.
Really?
Why? Maybe so you have to do it online and you have to pay a $49 fee for them to mail your tags on top of the price of, which has doubled, by the way, at least doubled most people for their registration. This state is insane. They're artificially elevating and keeping us so poor, and they're running out the middle class. And there's things coming down that have gone into effect now in February here that are people don't even realize what's about to come down. They are running the middle class out of here on purpose, not an accident.
On purpose,
Most
yeah,
of us
it's
in the
absolutely
middle
on
class.
purpose.
We're the ones who own and run businesses. We're the ones who start realizing the last thing I want is the government more involved in what I'm doing. Get out. So we start voting more conservatively. They don't want the middle class here in the state of California. They want to turn us into like a New York, where, you got your haves and you got your have-nots. And you got to have the have-nots to serve the haves. But other than that, we middle class folks who think for ourselves, no, get out. They want us gone. People are always talking about everybody's leaving California. It's going to hurt California. They're going to have to change the way they're doing business. No, they're not. It's not an accident. They're doing this on purpose.
Right. Yep.
President Trump, we need you. Please, Doge California. Please, Doge California. I want to see people doing the perp walk. I want to see Governor hairdo. I want to see how his slick gel goes with an orange jumpsuit. This is insane. Please let this happen, Lord. Please get rid of the corruption, the graft, and the thieves that are in such positions of power here in this state, Father. We ask you to please intercede here and let justice be served in your name, Christ Jesus. Amen and amen. I hope you join us in praying against evil. I hope you join us. Christi, you're extraordinary. Anytime, you got an open door policy with me on this show. Anytime you've got something you want to let us know about, come on.
I will let you know when I have another update.
In the meantime, I want to get some of my other conservative podcasters, at least, because I know the media will ignore you completely.
Oh, yeah.
But podcasters, the alternative media, we need to talk to you. We need to know more about what's going on. And you're not doing this for money. This is costing you money.
No,
you don't even have any way for people to give to help you with all of this. I don't think you don't have a Gifts and Go or anything like that.
No. I believe that this is a calling from God, and God provides for me. I feel like God has provided for me so that I can spend my time and money on this. And yeah, I do spend a fair amount of money. Like, all this stuff is not free. I mean, I'm not hiring lawyers. I'm doing my own legal work. So that consumes a lot of my time. But there's still like fees involved with all this stuff. I mean, like this thing to Malia Cohen, I need to send it to her, and then I need to copy the state Senate, and then I need to copy all the legislators that are involved. So
and do you do certified mail?
Well, I was just going to say, and that's $10 a pop to send it tracked mail.
Yeah.
So like that adds up really fast. But, again, I don't complain because God keeps providing. And so, as long as he keeps providing, I'll keep sending.
If you decide you want to start up a Gifts and Go, that's the one I'm using. That's my favorite because it's a Christian nonprofit crowdfunding site. Let me know. I'll get that information out ways that we can help you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we need that. We need you. We need you. Oh, you're awesome. Thank you, Christi. Give my best to your husband. Tell him I said thank you for the time I took away from him and your family.
Thank you.
All right, my friend. Valuable. And you might think, she's crazy. Good. We need more of that kind of crazy. That's not crazy to me. That's dedicated. That's devoted. She's doing God's will. And God's will tells us, God's word tells us, stand up to evil. Pray against it. We're fighting against powers we don't even realize. Deceptive, horrible, one world government, new world order kind of crap. Oh, I don't have to do anything. I'll just wait for Jesus to come back. He'll take us out of here. Really? That's it? You don't think you're going to be asked questions on the day of judgment? What did you do? What did you do with that talent I gave you? The 10 talents, the 5 talents, the 1 talent. What happened to the one servant who said, "Oh, I buried that 1 talent because I didn't do anything to try and make you more money"? What happened to that servant? It was bad. Wasn't good. You don't want that, and I don't want that. What am I doing with my talents? Everything I possibly can. Investing it in you, get information out. This is what I do. This is my calling, my ministry. And you can support it at CharLeeSimons.com. I pray you will. Help, please. Can you buy me some coffee? Buy me a tank of gas. That'd be nice. CharLeeSimons.com. There's 4 or 5 different ways on there that you can actually contribute, or just buy some of my merchandise. CharLeeSimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God.